will be in the office every single day next week. So you're welcome to come in and help me figure that out. I really honestly just have not had a minute to do it, but I've got here, and I know it plugs in with the USB, but I think I have to change something in settings, and that's just divisive. So I can figure that out. But if I can, I'll give you a call.
Okay, cool.
So today I wanted to talk about the ideal agent schedule. Everybody would like to know what that is, right? And it's kind of a unicorn because it's a thing to aspire to, but we don't always see it. We know it's there, but we don't always see it. That's kind of how I think of unicorns. But before we get into that, there's something, and this will tie into our ideal agent schedule. But I wanted us to think about, in real estate, things go wrong, right? I could tell you a very convoluted story about a closing that I'm supposed to be having today. It probably isn't going to happen, and it's complicated by the fact that we were under contract in February when I listed the property, but the owner didn't know that she hadn't probated the will. She thought she had. She's quite elderly, and she's a tenant in common instead of a joint tenant, so she doesn't have right of survivorship. So we had to wait for the probate. The buyer stood by us, which was wonderful, and we've been delaying the closing, waiting for the letters of administration giving her the right to administrate the estate. But because the husband, the deceased, had two children who are now in their 60s or 70s, they are part of the estate, and she elected to do this without a probate attorney, and she checked the wrong box, so she cannot sell the home without them signing over their part of the estate. They have not been in contact with those kids in 10 years. So we do know where they work, and so the attorney is reaching out to them, and it's complicated by the fact that this is a tear down home, and the city has issued an order that the home is to be torn down, or they will tear it down. And if the city tears it down, instead of my seller walking away with about $50,000, the seller will probably end up coming to the closing with a check. Because the city is going to award it to the contractor who is going to inflate the cost of the teardown, right? That's sure. So what I wanted to talk about is default behavior when things go wrong. So I'd like for each of us to, and me included, because I know what mine is, think about what our default behavior is when things go wrong. And I know mine in the past, I've worked really hard on it, but mine in the past has been anxiety and stress. And it gets to go something like this. Oh my God. I mean, it gets real dramatic. And then I get really worked up, and then I freak out, and then I feel exhausted. Some people's default behavior is blame. Some people's default behavior is anxiety. Some people's default behavior is avoidance. Some people's default behavior is depression and, oh, this just proves I have no luck, right? So I'd like for each of us to really think about what our default behavior is, because unless your default behavior is, you know what, it's okay, I'm going to stay in the solution, it's probably not serving us well. So, and we can control that. It just takes practice. So does anybody want to volunteer theirs? You don't have to, but.
Mine's the same as yours. I'd say like anxiety and stress.
Yeah, it's a common one. I know a lot of people that default to anger and blame. I know a lot of people like that too. Like, oh, well, if only so-and-so had done this, then that wouldn't happen. But the most important thing is that we can stop it. And really the first step in that is becoming aware of it. So when you feel yourself, when something like today, I had to check, yesterday happened yesterday. I had to check myself. I was sitting there and I was like, well, I started to feel the feelings welling up, and I thought, because I've worked on this a lot, and I thought, you know what? That's not going to solve anything. It's going to waste time, and I need to stay in the solution and figure out what to do. So I was able to take a few deep breaths, and I learned this from listening to a physician, an emergency room physician, and somebody was interviewing her, and they said, you are in life and death situations all the time. How do you handle that kind of stress? And she said, I've learned to stop and take 10 really deep breaths. And that what that does is it slows me down. It oxygenates my brain so that I'm functioning at a better level brain-wise. And so that's what I did yesterday. I took the 10 deep breaths, and then I started strategizing for solutions. And we will get this closed. It might not be today. It'll be closed in the next few days, but I figured out they didn't even know how to contact the people. But I did a true people search. I found out she works at a hospital. I called the hospital, got her direct line. I called the attorney. I was like, I've got one of the heirs. She probably knows the other one because it's her brother, right? So he said, I'm getting up at 7 this morning. I'm going to call him. But if I had just been all anxious and stressed, I wouldn't have even thought to do that. So I just want us to think about that default behavior. And if you can, next time you feel it starting to happen, just say to yourself, stop. There are times when people in your life will stop you. My husband in the past has said, okay, enough, Candace. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's not who I want to be. That's not how I want to speak to my loving spouse, right? So sometimes other people will check us, but the most important thing is that we have a replacement for our default. We have default browsers, we have defaults on our phone, we have defaults everywhere. So we want to set our default to being one of slow and in the solution, and practice that. Because I think in real estate, it will make for a much happier career. And so to that end, the ideal agent schedule starts with the morning. And we've talked about the morning ritual, the gratitude, the prayer, but there's 3 questions you can ask yourself in the morning, every morning, just like when you update your super e-key every morning. The 3 questions you can ask yourself are, what do I have to be excited about today? Right? Every morning I get to be excited that I get to see you guys. I never know who's going to show up, but it's always a joy for whomever does. I get to be excited, I get to be excited that I get to drive by this pasture with all these baby horses now. So I would love for you to get up when you're in the shower or when you whatever you're doing, making your coffee. What do I have to be excited about today? And then the second question is, what might happen today? Or if something goes wrong today, how can I bring my best self? How can I be the person that I want to be in that situation? And then the third question is how can I be thankful for somebody today and surprise and delight them? And I can tell you, I got a text message from one of our PC clients a couple of weeks ago, and it was, I am so grateful for you. I just wanted you to know it. And I can't tell, it brought tears. I mean, the message was really sweet, and it brought tears to my eyes, and it made me feel like the thing that I feel purposeful about was important to somebody. We can do that for any single person in our database. We can do that for any person in our life. And you spread that little bit of gratitude to somebody, and oh my goodness, that ripple. My dad used to say, if you throw a pebble in a pond, the ripples go out forever and ever and ever and ever, right? So you never know how that one little act of gratitude is going to impact them, their family, their family's family. You just don't know. So those are the 3 things that we can start our day with in the ideal agent schedule. And then we have 3 activities that we need to do every day. Bill says 2, but we really have 3. The first one is we need to lead gen. A lot of people like to lead gen in the morning because that's when our energy is the highest for some people. Some people have energy in the afternoon. If your energy is in the afternoon, lead gen in the afternoon. You definitely want to lead gen when your energy is the highest. You want to be on, let's put it that way. Whether you're making phone calls or you're door knocking or you're using the Facebook strategy, whatever that looks like. And I would say 2 hours is a good amount of time to lead gen. When I have a listing, one of my listing propositions is that I actually will prospect my buyers. I will prospect my whole database to see if anybody knows anybody who's interested in this home. So when I go into a listing, I say, one of the things that I do differently is I'll be on the phone for 2 hours or texting with my database or reaching out to my database to let them know about your home and also to see if they know anyone who is interested in your home. A lot of agents don't do that. So that's a differentiator you can do as well. And as you're doing your lead gen, that can be part of your lead gen, reaching out and saying, like, Michael, I have a listing. I have a listing coming up. Who do you know who might be interested? Oh, by the way, and you never know if they raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested, or hey, I need to sell. So that can be part of your lead gen strategy. So at least 2 hours of lead gen a day. The ideal agent schedule is lead gen in the morning from 9 to 11. The second activity we have is learning. I like to get my learning out of the way before I start my day. So I'll typically listen to a book on tape as I'm driving in. The other thing that I like to do is get on Remind. I'll share my screen. I think I might have shared this with some of you, but on Remind so that I know what's going on in the market. Let's see here. Give me 1 second and I'll share my screen. Okay. Remind, here we go. So I like to get on Remind, and the very first thing I like to do is look, is look down here at the market pulse. And I can change this to be, this is our zip code, but I can change it to any zip code that I want to study. I can change it to the last 30 days. I can change it to yesterday. I can see what's happening exactly today. So I like to go on here and just look at these stats. And sometimes I'll take a picture of it on my phone so that I have it as a resource if in case I'm out and talking to anybody in this particular, if I know I have an appointment in this zip code, for sure, I'm going to be talking about these stats. But this is just, yes?
I'm curious, there's also this similar information on Matrix. Why do you choose Remind instead of Matrix? I'm just wondering.
Just because I found it and I think it's cool and I'm trying to get a little more familiar with Remind. There's no right or wrong. You could use whatever source you want.
Okay.
Okay. I like that when I click on Remind, this is the first page that comes up. I know it's the same on Matrix, but I have to do a couple more clicks for that.
Okay.
So I do use Matrix. But anyway, and I like that I can filter this way. And I haven't practiced that on Matrix. So like I can see yesterday, wow, nothing yesterday. I suspect this isn't exactly right, but I can see there's 4 coming soon. That's interesting. 4 status updates. So that's 4 coming soon. Yesterday, I can see 2 went active yesterday. 2 listings in one day in all of 30076.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot. We need more houses.
We need more houses. And I can tell you all, if you're not doing the golden, did anybody take Michelle's golden letter class yesterday?
I took it.
You did? No. I'm really hoping that they recorded it because I didn't get to see it either. But I can tell you
did.
We did record it. I don't know how well you can hear her, but Bill, it was on Bill's iPad, so we did record it.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, I can tell you that I started last month and I've sent out 3 waves of about 150 to 3 different neighborhoods. And just 2 days ago, I got a call from someone saying, hey, I got your letter about 3 weeks ago and I've been meaning to call you. We want to sell. And so I have an appointment with him Sunday morning. So those letters are working to find off-market homes.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'm just here to tell you that my letter was not anything spectacular. It was like, hey, do you know any, we have more buyers than we have homes. Do you know anybody who wants to sell? It was really simple. And I'll be glad to share all the examples that I've saved from other agents and the one that I'm using. I'm switching it up now based on the team meeting we had 2 weeks ago, where he was a little more detailed because I do have a buyer who's looking in Chateau Alon. And so I'm getting a little more detailed in that letter about what my buyers are looking for. And we'll see how that one goes. Because that could be, that could be high-end homes, multi-million. Well, this home that the listing is for is probably in the 600-700s, but the ones for my buyers are going to be at over $1 million. So that would be exciting. So that's second, go ahead.
I had someone reach out to me yesterday that lives in my neighborhood that I've talked to a few times about real estate. They moved in not too long ago, but she said, I have something for you. She said, I really want my parents to move here. And she said, but she's got some very specific, like they need a master on Main and they need this and that. And there's only one house even out there that really kind of matches what they want, but it gave me a reason. I'm like, oh, now I've got a reason to reach out to some other people and find them this house.
Ryan, that is, and I have to tell you all, being new agents and having putting yourself out there and having people contact you with needs without you, that takes years for a lot of people. So I think that's a direct benefit to PC that you guys are already getting those kind of calls. I think that's I think that's an incredibly wonderful thing, because it feels so good when somebody calls you and says, didn't it, Ryan? Didn't it feel good when they called you and said, we've got something for you?
Yes. I was like, oh, great.
Yeah. It came to me. I didn't have to go find it.
Yeah. So now I just had to find it. But, you know, and I think she's I know sometimes that you guys know about things before they come to the market. And I feel like things go so fast. So, you know, that'll give me also a reason to reach out to some of the other agents in here, and, you know, just hopefully see what I can find.
You know, and the other thing I would say is, sorry, I've got to just, Aubrey's texting, so let me just get back to him just a minute. I apologize.
I had a fun thing happen to me yesterday. I was shopping at Tractor Supply, and I happened to be wearing my name tag. And the girl behind the counter said to me, "Hey, are you a real estate agent?" I said, "Yeah. Is there something I can help you with?" She goes, "Actually, I think there is. I've been looking to buy some property, a little house, just big enough, but enough land for me and my horse." I'm like, "Hey, here's my card. Be happy to help you." I said, "Yeah, and I've been thinking about becoming an agent." I was like, "I can help you with that too."
And
So
you got her information, right?
no, I was in a hurry. I should have, but I did not.
But you can go back there. You can go back
That's
there
right. I
today.
know where she works.
Yeah, you can go back and say, hey, I was thinking about you, and I was putting some thought around your needs, and I just wanted to be able to reach out to you when I have something that I think you should see, and also start the process with you. So what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Right.
You know, and take her something. Yeah. Take her something when you go. Take her a Starbucks coffee or something.
Take her a dozen eggs.
There you go. Take her a dozen eggs. I love that. You got yours.
I was in there buying chicken food anyway.
Oh, there you go. See? So that's fantastic. Well, so we've got set our mindset right. We've got market expert, become the market expert learning, whether you're listening to a book on tape or whether you're reviewing the market. I think reviewing the market every day is a really important part of becoming an expert in our area. And focus on the zip codes that you work in. You don't have to just do this zip code. If you live in Beaufort, focus on Beaufort, right? The third part of the ideal schedule is to prospect for 2 hours a day, whether it's for it should be lead gen on some basis, but it can be also for your listings. It can also be for your buyer needs. You can call your database and say, hey, I'm looking for, and it doesn't have to be a call. I say call, but I mean any form of contact. You know, hey, I've got a buyer who's da-da-da-da-da like you, Ryan, and this is what we're looking for. Know anybody? And the third thing is appointments. We have to have appointments, right? That's the one thing I think that that when we talk about the two things, learning and lead gen, we have to have the third thing, and that's appointments. So the ideal agent schedule looks something like from 9 to 11, or from anything before 9, or let's say 8:30. You are doing your morning ritual, you're getting dressed, you're getting primed for the day, you're asking yourself those 3 questions. What can I be excited about? How can I show up to anything stressful with my best self? And who can I be grateful for and let them know today? And then I'm going to be on the morning huddle, and then I'm going to prospect for 2 hours, 9 to 11. And then I'm going to take a break, eat lunch. I'm going to do a couple of emails, a few things like that. And then from 3 to 5, I'm on appointments. And I'm meeting with people, I'm meeting with buyers, my husband has taught me in business, because I've never been good at boundaries. And so if somebody says, oh, can you meet me at 6:30 in the morning for the listing? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then I show up and I'm like, oh my goodness, because I haven't awakened. My husband's like, honey, don't take any appointments before 10 o'clock. It's your business. You set the boundaries. And so over the years, I've learned that he's exactly right, that people will, if you set the boundaries, people will typically respect them. You're not going to lose somebody because you're not showing up at 6:30 in the morning. And more than likely, they're going to respect you for being a business owner and setting your boundaries. So those are, any questions around anything? We've got about 4 minutes left. I just want to make sure that you've got kind of an idea of what that schedule looks like. Was that surprising to you at all, or did you kind of figure that out? You had it figured out?
Well, I feel like that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, that's excellent.
But it took a while to get there. Like at first, it takes, I think, a month of just like everything being a little crazy,
Mhm.
and just trying to figure out like, okay, how am I going to make this work? And, you know, and it depends too, if you have kids or not, and if it's summer or it's not, or, you know, like those things, like
Yeah.
it'll all change again a little bit next month, you know, when they go back to school, and I have to figure it all out. Oh, again, you know, like right now they're still asleep, so I don't have to worry about them. But
That's why I say it's kind of the ideal agent schedule is kind of a unicorn. It's a beautiful thing when it works, but it's something to strive for. But we know that we have to factor time in for those darn kids. We
Yeah.
had them, right?
Candace, listen, I got to run.
Michael, thank you for being on this morning.
Sure. See y'all.
Yeah, bye.
yeah, I gotta run too to get onto Bold.
Oh
Just a
yeah,
sec.
Bold is in like 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. All right, I'm letting everybody off. Talk
Okay.
to you tomorrow. I'll be down at the Mart, so we'll be broadcasting live from the Mart. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:30. If you have anything in the meantime that you need help with, please just reach out to Bill or me or one of the mentors. We're here to help you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.